Hello, welcome back to the podcast. This is my fourth attempt to record this episode. Luckily, the longest I had recorded was maybe 2 minutes. So it's not like I had to scrap an entire episode. I would have been really mad. I probably would have just posted it if it had been that case. Okay, I think I've said in a previous episode, maybe even multiple times in previous episodes, when I record, I have to turn my fan off because it's really loud. And I open my window, turn my fan off. And usually that's fine. Usually, I'm talking for an hour, it gets hot. Sometimes it hurries me along. I don't like the heat. I don't like the heat at all. I'm originally from Texas. I've had a lot of heat experience. I've had plenty of heat strokes in my life. I don't like the heat. I moved to Ohio to get away from the heat. That's one of the reasons. There's many, many reasons why I moved here. That was one of them. Little did I know. Okay, just to give you an idea of how little I knew. It is 2:12 a.m. and it is currently 81 degrees in Ohio. I thought it was October. It's supposed to be cold. In fact, I bought a new coat a couple days ago. I pulled my blankets out. I pulled my heater out. I should be putting my fan away right now, not hooking it back up. Back up. So, it is so hot today. So hot right now. My previous attempts at recording this over the last 10 minutes, at first, I had my fan off, but I was sweating so much. And, the couple minutes that I was recording, I was like, nope, gotta stop. It was so hot. And so I turned the fan on, where I normally have it. I usually have it right in front of me, but it was, hang on. Yeah, I just put the mic basically where, in relation to where it was before. After I don't even know how many recordings I did. 3 or 4, I don't know. Finally, I decided to put the fan a few feet away, in the corner. And I'm kind of leaning back a little bit, sitting a little further back than I normally would. And I did a test recording for 2 or 3 seconds. Hey, this is a test to see how it sounds. And you can still hear it, but it's faint enough that I'm just going to go with it. Because it is so hot, even with the window open. I have the window open and the fan going. I had to open the window because it was hot without it, because it got stuffy. There's no air moving, and the pressure was building, and it was really hot. I opened the window, and it did help a little. I actually felt the pressure go down when I opened the window. It didn't help with the heat, it just helped with the pressure. And I got the fan on me, and I'm not going to like the audio quality because there's that air going in the background. And I've already gone almost 4 minutes talking about this. I've digressed before I even started. So, I almost just didn't record tonight. I literally was about to go, screw it, I'm not going to do it tonight. But I realized that I said that I was going to do a series tonight. Someone just tagged me in a post on Facebook. I realized that I think it was October 1st, I said that I was going to start a series over the course of October, where I was going to talk about my personal ghost experiences, or paranormal experiences. And I realized that was on the 1st or 2nd of the month, and here it is, the 12th, and I haven't done another one. I have 6 entries on this website, and I'm planning on making an episode for each one. I've done 1 so far, my experiences from my childhood, and which leaves 5, technically 6, because there's an update I'm planning on writing. I just haven't written it yet. So there's an unwritten episode. So there's going to be seven parts to this series when I'm done. Hopefully by the end of October, I've recorded 7 episodes in this, my personal Ghost Stories, or whatever I'm calling it. But so far, I've only done 1 episode, and it's the 12th. So I gotta get a move on. So that's what this is. Like I said, if it was just a normal episode, like I wanted to talk about Peter Pan, and then the fan issue happened, I would have been like, screw it, I'm gonna wait till it's a cooler night. But no, time's a wasting. Pretty soon it'll be the 20th, and I'll have to rush 7 episodes, and I don't want to do that. Anyway, part 2 is Life in the Country, which, let me tell you, that is a very misleading title. I did not even think about that till just now. Probably not if you're in context, because it's on a site called yourghoststories.com. So if you're on that website and you come across a story called Life in the Country, you're probably expecting something paranormal in the country. But if I was to share that link on like Facebook or Twitter or something, and people see that the headline Life in the Country, they're going to be like, oh, this is going to be a really nice, lighthearted story. Nope. Okay, I posted this, as I did with most of these, except for the most recent update from 5 years ago, on September 19th, 2012. Quite a while ago. So, I'm going to start reading. In 1999, also, hang on, before I start, I'm going to have to do some editing as I go, probably, because at the time, I wasn't expecting anyone to actually read it. I definitely wasn't expecting to read it on a podcast 8 years later. So I'm kind of like, I haven't read it. I probably should have read this before I reread it before I started reading. I'm kind of skimming through, and I might edit as I go, like leave stuff out, change names. Oh no, if I change names, I won't remember, and I'll slip up and say the real name, and people will be like, that doesn't even make sense. Who's this other person? Same person. So I don't know. I might do some editing as I go. Anyway. In 1999, my family, my stepfather, my mom, my 4 sisters, and I moved out into the country outside of Merkel, Texas. Wait. Okay, no, that's good. I don't live there anymore. It's fine. I'm from Merkel, Texas. Shout out to the people from Merkel. No one from Merkel's listening to this. My little brother came along a few months later. Actually, he's the reason we moved out there. We'd been living in a crammed apartment, and my stepfather always wanted to live in the country. On the first night, 18th of March, 1999, we hadn't moved our things all the way in yet, so I was sleeping on my floor on some blankets. As I was laying there, feeling odd in a new house and uncomfortable laying on the floor, I felt a presence. I rolled over and looked at the door and saw a figure standing there. When we lived in the apartment, my stepfather would often come and check on us to make sure we were all right, so I assumed that it was him and closed my eyes. The next morning I saw him and asked how he was able to be so energetic since he was up at 3 a.m. checking on us. He looked confused and said that he'd been so exhausted from the move that he was out before we were and didn't wake up until my mom woke him up that morning. We soon got the rest of our stuff moved in, and on 24th of June 1999 my little brother was born. We spent a lot of sleepless nights after that, because he would cry all night long, nearly every night. Not little cries, like loud wailing that you would hear from the other side of the house. One night, I took the pillow off of my head for a minute to roll over and saw the figure again. Again, I thought it was my stepfather, forgetting that what he had said last time. Of course, he said that he was out all night that night, so maybe it was him. Wait, of course, he said he was out all night that night. So maybe it was him. Maybe, only it wasn't. Because he was working late that night and I heard him... Oh, typo. I heard him get home an hour later. One night, about a year later, I was walking down the hall to my room during a thunderstorm. As I was going down the hall, lightning flash. I saw a body hanging from a noose from the ceiling. When the light from the lightning faded, the figure was gone. I said done. I meant gone. I typed the word done, but I meant gone. Anyway, and I picked myself up off the ground slowly, obviously shaken. It was like okay, this is me speaking, not reading. It was like the lightning flash, and I saw it in the lightning flash, and then like it was literally like a split second, like during the flash, I saw it in the flash. Because like, when I wrote this, I sent it to some friends, and they're like, "What do you mean?" And I guess people don't understand what that means. I don't know. I'm not good at explaining things to people. I try explaining that to people, but well. In 2003, my family left one night to go to the store, and I chose to stay home because I was reading. I did that a lot as a kid. I know for a fact I was home alone because I saw my family get into the car and drive off. I was sitting in the recliner in the living room. And when you sat on the recliner, you could see the corner to the hallway from the corner of your eye. As I was reading, I got a creepy feeling I was being watched. Scroll down. I looked up and saw something in the corner of my eye in the hallway. At the hallway. I saw the face of a girl, and the moment I looked, she pulled her head back. She didn't disappear, she pulled her head back, as though she was a living person and trying to play peekaboo. I jumped up off the recliner and ran to the hallway. No one was there. The doors were closed. The house was vacant. From 2003 until sometime in 2004, I would see a figure standing in my corner. It never did anything. Literally just stood there. It didn't look transparent, but as though there was someone actually standing there. I tried to tell my family, but they were like, so there's a man in your room? Is there a monster under your bed as well? I remember what he looked like. He kind of looked like Mr. Clean. One night in 2004, I was watching TV when I heard my oldest sister screaming. It was weird hearing her scream because she was gothic at the time and denounced. Okay, I'm gonna have to edit most of this paragraph. Yeah, she changed a lot, and she kind of like she looks back at that period of her life and was like, I never did that. So actually, I'm gonna skip this story. Basically, she saw something when she calmed down. Wait, no, I'm skimming. Wow, okay, this was 2 paragraphs. Got tell the truth and everything. Until others. I started listening when I told them, and I'll just skip the whole. Okay, in 2006, my stepfather got a job offer in Alamogordo, New Mexico. We were going to move from Merkel, Texas, to there, but first, he was going to move ahead of us to get a house and everything set up. He left in May, and we were to move in July, a couple weeks after he left. I was laying in bed reading when I heard his voice loud and clear shout my name from the kitchen. I was opening my door when I suddenly remembered he wasn't even home. In fact, no one was home. They had gone shopping. We were planning to move out of our house, We were planning to move out of our home in the country to New Mexico in early July. So naturally, we ended up moving 5th of August, 2006. We traveled in 2 vehicles, my mom driving the Dodge Durango with one of my younger sisters and our dog Sally and I, and my stepfather driving the U-Haul with my other sisters and little brother in the U-Haul. Why did I word it like that? As we were driving at night through the mountains of New Mexico, my mom said, "Didn't you say you experienced things in that house?" I was expecting her to make fun of me, but I said yes anyway. She said, "I would often see a man who sounded like your stepfather and looked like Mr. Clean." Yeah, and that's the end of that entry. Now that I think about it, it's like a good ending, like a good kind of like a cliffhanger, like, oh, a good place to end. But to continue that story, like, we spent like an hour or 2 talking about our experience. She experienced things too in there. And what's crazy is that while we were talking, she was saying that because something I noticed when we were living out in that house, like we would watch movies sometimes at night. My stepfather would rent a movie from like Blockbuster or something, and yeah, that's how long ago it was. And Netflix, when that's like when Netflix started, he got a Netflix account and would rent movies. And sometimes we'd sit in the living room, all of us, and watch a movie. But my mom wouldn't. And I always just assumed she didn't like movies, so she wouldn't join in. But on that, we were moving to New Mexico and we were having this conversation, she said sometimes while she was sitting on the couch, she would see a little girl standing at the entrance of the hallway. Which freaked me out, because at that point of the conversation, I hadn't told her about the recliner incident that I mentioned here, where she pulled back. In fact, that's what led me to tell her that, and she was like, yeah, you saw her too. And it was really creepy. So, there's something actually happened on the way to New Mexico at night. It's nothing that's actually scary. It's just, it really creeped me out, and I have nightmares about it to this day. And when I say this, I'm probably going to get made fun of. It's just probably because of what we were talking about. I don't know. We passed an oil refinery. I think that's what it was. I assumed. I never thought to, like, while we were passing it, I never thought to, like, ask, what's that? But, like, because it was at night, we saw it on the horizon. And how we saw it is not because of lights. There was, like, this massive, like smokestack or something, and there were flames coming out the top. I don't know if it was an oil refinery. All I know is there was this massive, like, chimney stack thing with flames at the top, and we saw this little tiny light on the horizon, and it got bigger and bigger, and then we passed it, and it lit up the whole area, and that's how I knew it was like a stack, and I couldn't really see what it was, but I don't know, it just like that light in the distance, and it was like the way it looked. I don't know, that it always kind of creeped me out. I know, I'm weird. I haven't even made it. It's been, as of right now, it's been 18 minutes, and I've done this whole entry. See, with the first entry, I had the Fort Phantom to fall back on. And I went over an hour and was like, hey, Fort Phantom, let's talk about that. But, oh, okay. I'm gonna combine two parts because, that wasn't as much material as I thought it was. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the country, and the part 3, which I'm gonna go ahead and read the third entry here, just to combine them. So I'll be part 2. I'm not gonna say part 2 and 3 because that's gonna be weird. It's called High School Experience, and yeah, that. Let's see. All right, this is gonna have. It takes place at the same time as in the country. In fact, it's the first line is, "I left this out of story 2 on purpose," because it's a whole entry on its own. And skimming through it, I'm definitely, just like with the paragraph, the 2 paragraphs about my sister, I'm gonna have to do some editing here because I put some friends' names, and I'm not gonna give fake names. I'll just be like person 1 or something. I don't know. Like, pretty much all the times in the entry I just read where I said stepfather, I actually said his name. So I did some subtle editing. I did some subtle editing, and he didn't even know. But yeah, some stuff happened in high school. It's pretty much one thing. I was actually telling a friend about this recently, but I will just read it. Backtrack to 2003. I wrote this in present tense. I am a sophomore in high school. Okay, I'm not going to read it like that. Maybe. I was a sophomore in high school. I went to a really bad high school. And I'm going to read some of the comments here in a little bit. Oh, I forgot to read the comments of the last entry. I'll get to that. Actually, you know what? I haven't really started this. I'm going to read those comments after I say this. When I tell this story to people, they think I'm making it up because, well, you'll see. I'm going to go back and read the comments on the other, because I read the comments on the first entry on part 1. Let's see. Thanks for, oh yeah, I forgot, they're not in chronological order. Wow, you must have felt so relieved when your mom admitted to having experiences in the house, especially when she described seeing the very same thing. I was thinking maybe there could have been a tree or some other structure in the land that someone or something either hung or hung themselves from. These are some great experiences. Thank you for sharing them. And I said, I don't know why she never told me. Maybe she didn't know that's what I saw. I never told her why I saw things. I only told my sisters and stepfather. Also, when she told me what she saw, it wasn't in a I saw what you saw manner. When I told her I saw the same thing, she was surprised. And someone responded, thanks for replying to the other posters' questions. See, it's not in order. I don't know what they're talking about. Now I have one question for you. You mentioned that your mother mentioned that she saw the same thing you saw. Why didn't she confess to you earlier when you were experiencing these things? Please don't tell me that she was trying to protect you, because it would have done you a lot of good to have found out that you weren't alone to these things. Sorry, one more question. Were you able to find out what was in the house or land of the history? That question was obviously what the other comment I said. I wish these were chronological. They're just randomly random. Ooh, that's a long comment. 2 long comments. This is all very interesting. It does seem you may have a gift. However, it is something I am having a bit of trouble with. The moving of the house to a location that is previously only used as cropland, followed by the removal of said house upon your family's subsequent. Here's my problem with the scenario. I don't know what I'm gonna skip this because people are, I don't know. I'm just gonna go to the high school one. This episode is a mess. Okay, backtrack to 2003. Before I ever made a multi-platinum selling CD. Okay, that is Eminem. Okay. I am a sophomore in high school for PE. Instead of having us do physical education, the coach, I used his name, but I'm not going to here, he had us go to the track and just hang out. It was basically a free period where we didn't have to do anything. See what I mean? People see that, and I tell people that part, and some of the things that followed, and people are like, no school would actually do that. You didn't go to my school, it was a small town. We did... Wait, where was I? One day my friends, name, and I were walking past the small buildings where the bathrooms were at. We were walking past them, and we heard multiple screams coming from the girls' bathroom. We actually ran in there without thinking. But I said we ran in there. We found our friends' name, and name standing in the middle of the room, standing around a drumroll, please, Ouija board. Dun dun dun. We asked them what happened. They said they had used the board to find out that there was a spirit at the track that had died in the 50s. We didn't believe them, which is a surprise we didn't believe them, which I'll get to that after this entry. There is something I didn't write about in here, but I will talk about after I've read this. We asked what happened. They said, we didn't believe them, so we got down on the floor and started using it. All 6 of us piled our hands on it as name, asked questions. I don't remember anything we found out, but basically, some girl had died on the track in the 50s and she was restless. After a few minutes of questions and answers, all 6 of us ran out of there screaming. After several minutes, we started laughing and then started joking about it, and we thought it was fun. But within a couple of days, I started seeing things, like weird things. I can't fully explain what I saw. They were like hallucinations. I'd see creatures following people. There'd be giant pits in the middle of what I knew to be flat ground. Not just at home, but at school. Mostly at school, though. I did witness some at home, but not much. I thought it was just me, so I never told anyone. It lasted 6 months. I didn't write this in here, but like I felt, I don't know, something was following me. It was really like I said, I had like hallucinations and seeing stuff I knew weren't there, but I didn't want to be called crazy, so I never told anybody. In by 2006, my senior year, my old group of friends disbanded and we were hanging out with other people. But since we were graduating, we met up at our old hangout on the side of the school by the generator. We laughed about old times, some of the stupid things we did, swapped inside jokes. It was like a reunion, and it was very nice. The perfect way to spend the day before graduation. Then, name the person who asked the question earlier. Said, "Do you guys remember when we messed with that Ouija board?" We all stopped laughing, and I could tell by the way she said it that she was just throwing it out there. When we got silent, I could tell she knew she hit the mark. Without any of us having to say yes, she started telling us a story about how after we used the board, she started seeing things, like hallucinations. It lasted 6 months. She was afraid to tell anyone because, quote, only crazy people see things, right? Then she started crying. As another person told her similar story, one by one, all 6 of us revealed after we messed with that board, we all experienced hallucinations for the next 6 months. That's the end of the entry. It wasn't all the same hallucinations. We all saw different stuff, but we all experienced crazy things for the next 6 months after messing with the Ouija board. And all my life, my mom had always told me never mess with a Ouija board because it's not a game. It's marketed as a game, but it's not a game. And I was always, my mom would tell me that, and I was like, okay, I know. And I just thought, like, my parents are always telling me not to do stuff. So when, like, we went in there, and there was the Ouija board. I was like, oh, cool, Ouija board, yay. And I honestly didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, they see it in movies all the time. It's just, it's just a for fun thing. And then I didn't put it in the story, but the cliche thing of, well, I didn't move it. Well, I didn't move it. You must have moved it. That happened, and yeah. What I think what we should have done was not done it. But just once. I never see this. Like, everyone take their hands off of it and watch it move on its own. Because I think my hand wasn't on the thing. It was like second from the bottom. And I wasn't moving it. I could feel it being moved, but like, I didn't move it. It did feel like it was moving on its own. But like, yeah, like I know I didn't move it, and the person whose hand was under mine, I didn't feel their hand tense up. Like if they were to move it, their hand would like tense up or something. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel anybody moving it. It was weird, but I know from that experience, don't play with a Ouija board. Like at the moment when it happened, like after we were done, it was like, oh, that was funny, ha. It was like long term after that we experienced stuff, and that wasn't fun. Anyway, actually, hang on, let me read some of the comments. Don't know if you know it. Wait, Lady Glow. Oh, yeah. Somebody was being sarcastic in the comments, and I took them seriously. Oh, I even said... Wait, whose ads? Somebody said something... Oh, my boss messaged me. He's probably responding to something I said. Okay, somebody said... I would like to say that Ouija boards should not be used. I told many times on this site, and at the cost of repetition, it should not be used by anyone. I was told that in your country, those boards are sold in toy shops. In fact, that should be stopped, because Ouija board is a gateway to the other side to come into our realm. We do not know what is in store for us on the other side, so never use it. Fortunately for you and your friends, it stopped within 6 months of using it. For some I know, it went on for years on end of them. Obviously, they're from another country. Their English isn't perfect, but I get what they mean. In fact, went mad. So please don't use it again, and especially alone. It's not a toy. Nice narration of your experience, and thanks for sharing. Regards and respects to you. Their name. And I said, in response above, yes, I was always told that. Even when I was little, my mom would always warn me not to touch one and said they're not toys, but I never took it serious. After my experience in high school, I know they are not toys and wish they weren't sold as such. There. Hang on, I'm going to see what my boss wants. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, she was... I messaged her earlier and she's just responding to that. Anyway, so what I was talking about earlier, oh no, I can't scroll. It's not scrolling. Oh wait, what I need isn't on here. Okay, so there is other stories from high school, from school, that I didn't write about. They weren't necessarily my personal stories. It's just, like, urban legend at my school. And I do have a little bit of experience from this, but I didn't write it down. So, at my middle school that I went to, there is a urban legend about the girl in yellow. Because in the 50s, I think that's what the Ouija board was talking about. Because it said that the girl in the Ouija board, she died in the 50s. And there was a fire that burned down the school in the 50s. And a girl died. Well, I know at least one girl died, because there's a story of the girl in yellow, and she died in the fire. I don't know if she's the girl that was on the Ouija board, but yeah. And I saw her a couple of times. There was 2 times in particular that I saw her. There was... both times had to do with theater arts, now that I think about it. We did a play. And somebody messaged me. We did a play at one point. And to celebrate afterwards, the drama teacher took us to this pizza place called Mr. Gaddy's. And it's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, except good. And, great pizza, all-you-can-eat buffet, and it had, like, this massive arcade with, like, bumper cars and laser tag, and, oh, it was great. I loved it. But, yeah, he took us there, and you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with your middle school ghost? Well... when we got back to the school, because this was at night, because this was an after-school thing to celebrate, because like we did the play, and then like a couple days later, I think it was the next day or a few days later, I don't know, it was like 20 years ago. I'm old. Anyway, he took us to... Okay, someone just rapid-fire messaged me like 5 times. Wait, let me see. 6. he sent me a YouTube video. I'm going to look at it later. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so he, it was an after-school thing. It was at night. He took us, and then we met back up at the school. And we had left our stuff in the classroom, and so we got back late at night to the school. Late at night, it was like 9 or 10. I don't know. It wasn't a school night, so it wasn't like a big deal for most people. I think some people is like, oh, you're going to bed at 10 no matter what, or whatever time. I don't know. Did we have a bedtime? I don't know. Like, it was like the stereotype that everybody has a bedtime in school. I don't remember if we did. We just kind of went to bed whenever. I've always had insomnia. I always had trouble sleeping. So, there's a show I used to listen to at night, a radio show called Coast to Coast AM, which, put a pin in that. I will come back. That could be a whole episode on its own. Anyway, so we get back to the school, and there's my stuff. There was me, another student, and the drama teacher, and 3 of us were walking back to the class because, like, most people's parents, they were waiting there for them, and like my stuff was in the classroom. We lived, again, like I said, we lived way out in the country. Instead of taking the bus home and then coming all the way back, me and this other kid, like, he and I, we stayed at the school. Because we both lived out in the country, and it was just easier to just stay at the school. We left our stuff in the classroom. So, the 3 of us were walking down the halls. It was dark. And, we were approaching an intersection, and a hallway intersection. And she walked in front of us. And the 3 of us, we saw her at the same time, and we stopped and just, she didn't acknowledge us. She just looked straight ahead, and she's called a girl in yellow because she's in a yellow dress. And I don't know why it never occurred to me until I actually saw her, because she's called a girl in yellow. I'm thinking, oh, she's in like a yellow t-shirt or something. No, she's in a yellow dress. And she walked. She just kind of like slowly walked across us. I mean, not across us, but like in front of us. Didn't acknowledge us. And then, like, when she made it to the other side of the crossways thing, she faded. We kind of looked at each other like, you saw that, right? Like, it was the girl in yellow. It's like, we actually saw her. She's real. So, and then I saw her again. Again, it had to do with drama. We were putting on another play. It was like a year later, different class, and we were setting up a play. Drama teacher and I, same drama teacher. We were in the backstage area, and she just appeared in front of us. Like, she didn't walk in front of us. She appeared in front of us for a few seconds, and then disappeared. And like, he and I looked at each other like, did you see that? Like, it was like the last time. And the rest of the class were sitting in the seats. And like, we ran out there like, you won't believe what we just saw. Like, nobody believed us. Like, they thought we were just messing with them. Because we were on stage. And like, it was a drama. They thought we were acting. And like, no, we really saw it. Like, oh, sure you did. That's my 2 times I saw it. There was a 3rd time. I didn't see her this time. It was late at night with a science teacher. She was at the school. She was in her classroom grading papers. Her door was open. And she saw something in the corner of her eye. She looked up, and the girl in yellow was there. And like, I don't know how she reacted. Like, she told somebody. But the next day, the whole school knew. Like Dumbledore. So, naturally, the whole school knows. So, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was asking her, and she was like, I don't want to talk about it. She told the wrong person, I guess. And, she wasn't the only ghost in the school, though. There was another one. I personally didn't see this one. I don't have any experiences of it. At this point, I'm just passing a message. in the because this is still middle school, and the earlier story talking about PE and the track and field and all that, that was high school. In middle school, we had a gym building with a locker room and all that, and we would do PE in the gym, and we would actually do like basketball and dodgeball and all that. Well, there was 2 dressing rooms, and in one of them, supposedly, there was the ghost of a janitor that hung himself. And several people claimed to have seen him. I never did. I was back there a lot because, I did PE every day. So I was there literally every day. Sometimes by myself, and I never once saw him. That doesn't mean he's not there. It just means I never saw him. Some people claim to have seen him. Whatever. But I did see the girl in yellow twice. And I'm at 41 minutes. What's the third one? I don't remember. It's like, I'm gonna make 7 parts, and I'd like combine them all into one. It's like, I swear! Third one, oh, okay, no, that'll be a separate post, because it is a direct continuation of the Life and Country. But, like, a part 1, part 2 type thing. Because, see, with high school experience, it's like a Lion King 1.5 type thing, which, like, it takes place in the middle of that. Going back to the country thing, there was a lot of creepy things that happened out in the country, and that's just, some of them might just be, my sisters and I, we were young, active imaginations. Like I said, my sister was gothic, so, like, I don't know, she was kind of influential on me. Like, some of the music I listen to, like, I'm a huge fan of, like, 9 Inch Nails and all of that, and I got that from her, so it kind of spilled over. So, like, she would go through something like that, and I would go through it too. We all would, because she was, like, she's the oldest, so what she says goes, and she was, I don't know, but I don't know. I just realized I know what I'm talking about, but the listener doesn't. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, like, I'm like, well, things were weird. And you're like, go on. And I'm like, yeah. But, like, I don't know. I want to say, like, the closest thing I could think of to describing what I mean is Blair Witch. And it's not even accurately describing what I'm talking about. It's just, I don't know. It was weird in the country, especially at night. Especially in high school. Because again, we were young, active imaginations. We got the whole, I don't want to misrepresent the whole gothic thing. It's not like devil worship. In fact, I hated when they said that back then. They were like, you're just devil worshippers, because I got into that a little bit too. I was never like full-fledged gothic, but I was like gothic-ish. But it's basically like kind of copying her in a sense. In fact, most of my gothic clothes I actually got from her. She kind of turned me. There wasn't like, some people it's like a slow fade into that. I became quote unquote gothic-ish one night. She was like, hey, try this on, try that on. Oh, ooh, you'd be great with this. And then I just went to school one day and everyone's like, what did you do? And that's just my new style for a year and a half or so. It's literally overnight. And so, but it was like secondhand gothic-ish. I was never like, because like I'll tell people, oh, I was gothic in high school, and people are like, you were? Like, kind of? Not really. Because we were young. I hit my phone. Because, you know, when you're young, you want to fit in, and I was an outcast that wanted to fit in with a small group of people. I don't know. I'm kind of digressing. I don't know. But yes, this one, my episodes have been getting longer and longer when I like that. But at this point, I feel like I'm just rambling. I said the point that I was going to read one entry, and I read two, because they kind of went together. They took place at the same time. And now I'm just kind of rambling. And to be honest, this whole episode was a mess. There was a couple times where I almost just stopped recording. I was like, nope, scrap it, start over. But again, it's almost an hour. It's been 45 minutes and 54 seconds. Ooh, palindrome. And I don't want to record the whole thing. And I gave a lot of extra detail that's not in the entries. So at this point, it's like, just post it. This is a mess of an episode. Maybe I should do a little planning. Okay, for the next entries, I'm actually going to read them first before I start recording. Because, see, with the experiences from my childhood, the first part, the Fort Phantom one, that one was okay. It was short, and like I said, I was able to fall back on Fort Phantom, and that basically took over the rest of the episode. It was okay. These two posts, a little more involvement. There wasn't a lot of material there to work with. Kind of. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna end this episode here. Yes, I don't know. Where did my... Oh, it's on my phone. I was like moving the cursor around, like, how do I stop recording? Because it's not on my computer. Let's see. I think that's not my first time I've done that, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to stop